Hey YouTube, it's Marita and welcome to another edition of the Nurse Lounge. In this edition, we're going to talk about that difficult patient. So, have you ever had a patient in which he or she really pushed your buttons and you didn't know how to handle it? Or you tried to handle it and it just didn't work out right? Well, I have 9 tips for you or rules to handle difficult patients. So if you want to see these tips or rules, stay tuned.
Moving on is clearly overdue. Long fights gripping like an NFL view. I don't really need somebody new. Keep moving up and then it come to you. Everybody needs a hobby, boo. Don't let me just make one out of you. Can't nobody mend your heart for you. There ain't nothing like super glue. Just keep moving. Hot loose ends, you choose it. Keep moving, keep moving. Hot loose ends, you choose it. Keep going. Let it loose, let it go and away. Let it loose, let it go and away. Let it loose, let it go and away. You get it all, try to watch your way. Elbow, wrist, touch your heart, blow a kiss. Elbow.
And we're back. So, I guess you're here because you want to know how to handle these difficult patients. So, I have a few notes taken down, and so therefore, I'm going to look down from time to time just to make sure I stay on track and give you accurate information. And you see I'm wearing the same outfit. You'll see this in 2 other videos. I wasn't changing today. I kind of had to work today, so I am doing videos all on nursing today anyway. So I was like, you know what? I'm already dressed. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So you'll see this look time and time again. All right, so rule number 1 for dealing with a difficult patient. Number 1 is engage with the patient. So what that basically means is when you engage with the patient, you are going to kind of make sure that he or she is a part of the team, right? So therefore, you are wanting to be engaging with them. You want to interact with them. You want to kind of see what's going on with them. Why are they feeling the way they feel? Why are they acting the way they act? You should have gotten a report, to be honest with you, if this is someone who's been here for a period of time, if they are that kind of person that just causes problems. And report, typically I will get a report and they'll say something like, oh, she is a princess. Or when they say princess, that means on our floor that she doesn't want to do anything for herself. That means she wants everybody to do everything for her, turn their lights on, tuck her in the bed, everything. Even put her medicine in her mouth. So like in terms of pouring the cup of medicine into her mouth, they want you to do that. So they tell us that report. So I'm kind of prepared for it already. So you have to know how to deal with patients like that. And so I know how to engage with them in that situation where I just, typically bring everything that they need. So I'll say, okay, is there anything I can get for you while I'm out? And if they say, oh, I need this, and this, I'll say, okay, so I'll bring all those items and I'll say, would you like some juice and some water? Basically, I try to supply all their needs so that they don't push the call 15,000 times asking for one item at a time. So I always engage with my patient just to see what their needs are, what they're thinking, things like that. Number 2, show empathy. Sometimes these patients are being difficult not because of the fact that they want to be difficult. That is true. Some of them are like that. But for some of them, that's not the case at all. Sometimes they're going through something. So showing empathy basically means that you can put yourself in someone's situation and say, okay, you know what? How would I feel if I were in that situation? So when it comes to OB, which is my area, how would I feel, or how did I feel, because I've been there, when I had my babies? Was I tired? Was I frustrated? Was I in pain? Was I annoyed when the nurses came in and out, seemed like every hour or two? And the answer to that is yes. But at the same time, I actually show that empathy by saying, hey, I understand what you're going through. I've been there before. However, I didn't explain this is the reason why I have to do this, and I won't bother you any more than I have to in that scenario. Number 3, be proactive. I kind of alluded to that in number 1. Being proactive means I anticipate the patient's needs. I go ahead and bring everything that I know they need. I'll say, do you need pads? Do you need water? Do you need juices? Do you need sprays? Do you need medication? I'll go ahead and get everything that they need and then bring it in there. And then that way I don't have to be bothered with them, or they don't have to be bothered with me, shall I say, for the next hour or two, typically 2 hours. And in addition to that, I typically will kind of tell them the plan for the day. And that's something I'm very big on. So being proactive to me also talks about being organized and planning. So when I walk into a patient's room that morning, I will say, my name is Marita. I'll be taking care of you today. And this is what we'll be doing today. Now, mind you, I don't expect them to remember my whole 12-hour shift. But when I tell them that, they know when I come in with a purpose. They know I'm not coming in just to have something to do or just to see what they're doing. I'm coming in with a plan to do vital signs, to pass meds, to check on them for pain, things like that, to refill their water pitcher, to do their assessment. I tell them that ahead of time. I'll say, I'll be doing your vital signs today at 8, 12, and 4, or whatever time I'll say I'm going to do them. I'm going to be passing your morning medications at 9. I'm going to be passing your afternoon medications around 2. And I always say around, not at. Because as you know, as a nurse, there's no way to be everywhere at 9 o'clock or be everywhere at 2 o'clock. You have to say around and let them know that. I anticipate their pain. I'll simply say, hey, if you're having pain, we write the times on the board in which they can have their next pain medication that is not scheduled. That way they can push the call outs themselves to say, hey, I would like my pain medication. So part of that being proactive is also making them feel like that they're in complete control. As you know, nurses manage patient care. They're not in complete control, but they do govern part of what their stay is going to be like. They are part of the team. They do make decisions based on what options that they have. So be mindful, be proactive towards your patients. Number 4, watch your body language. So this one right here, this includes your face as well, your poker face that you're supposed to have. So sometimes they perceive you having an attitude or your body language to be poor and they act accordingly. So if you're coming in with, this look on your face, and I must have that look because a lot of times some of either the patient or the families themselves will say, are you having a bad day? And I'll say, and they're actually in a good mood. And I'm actually in a good mood too. And I'll say, no, I'm just trying to figure out this pump, or I'm just trying to figure out these medications, or I'm just really intensely or intentful looking at my medications, making sure I'm giving the right medication. And even one family member said that, like, I've noticed when you come in here, when you're doing your medications, you're very intentful and you're very serious about that. And your brows are kind of burrowed and you're kind of looking just to make sure that you have everything right. And that's exactly what it is. But the body language initially didn't convey that. It conveyed that I had an attitude. And then I had another patient, I had my hand on my hip. And not because I was trying to be sassy, but because I was tired. It was night shift and I had been ripping and running all night. And she had called the light for the 15th time. And so I didn't have an attitude, at least that's not how I was trying to portray myself. I was just tired. So I was like literally resting my hands on my hip. So that's what I was portraying to her. So she really thought that I had an attitude. And as a result of that, she got really angry with me. And she was saying, you know what, you need to take your hand off your hip. And, I don't appreciate the attitude. And I'm like, what attitude did I have? I'm trying to figure out what attitude I had. But then I realized it was my body language. So make sure that your body language conveys the openness that you have for caring for the patient and not portray something that is antagonistic towards the patient. All right, number 5, you need to build rapport with your patient. So building rapport doesn't mean you're going to be friends today or you're going out this weekend. Building rapport means that you need to build a sense of trust. You need to build a sense of continuity of care. Build a sense of attentiveness and eagerness with the patient, as if you want to be at work. If you're looking like and acting like you don't want to be there, if you act like you're being annoyed by the patient every time they push a call light, even though you are, you will convey that. And so you will lose your rapport if you've gained any at that point in time. If you come in with untruths, so you come in with the doctor says this, the nurse says this, and this other nurse said this, and you're saying something different. That's a way to kind of kill your rapport. If you're coming in, every 5-10 minutes because you forgot to do part of your assessment, that's a way to kill your rapport. They want you to come in, do your job, and leave, basically. So build a rapport with your patient. Have a conversation with your patient. Talk about things that they may be interested in. If you happen to see, for me, if I happen to see something on TV that they enjoy, a lot of our moms, believe it or not, watch cartoons. And so, if they're watching cartoons, I may say something about the cartoons they're watching. If they're watching a football game, I may say something about that. There's this one time I know we had, I worked on med surge. I was shadowing that day actually, and I don't do med surge regularly, but I was shadowing that day, and so we had a male patient come in, and he was not in the mood to talk. He wasn't in the mood to do anything. And that nurse really tried to engage with him and try to build rapport with him by trying to get him to smile and things like that. And he was not budging. He had nothing to talk about or nothing. So it was during Super Bowl time of last year. So this is, no, it was not Super Bowl. It was playoff time last year, 2018. And I happened to see that there's a game on he was watching. So I decided that I was going to bring up about the game. I said, "Oh, okay, is this the playoffs?" And I said, "How does this all work?" Now, mind you, I know enough about football to know how this works. But again, trying to strike a conversation with him, he started telling me everything about how this worked and how he used to play football and this, that, and the other. Not professional, but how he played in high school and in college. And that's what it took. And so the nurse was like, "How did you get him to do that?" I said, "Oh, simple. You just simply talk about something that they're interested in." He wouldn't be watching the games that intently if he wasn't interested in the football game. So by the time we finished all that, he was smiling and talking. We had got his pain under control, and we had a great rest of the shift. And the nurse was totally amazed by that. I said, "You have to kind of meet the patients where they are. So even if you have no interest at all about football or whatever the topic is, find a reason to talk about it and engage with them, and they'll talk if they're able to, or if they're not in severe pain. If you're in severe pain, you're not going to be doing much of nothing." All right, number 6, kind of building rapport. It goes into number 6 is listening. So you need to listen to your patients. Do you know how many patients have told me that they feel like they have not being listened to? They keep on saying the same thing over and over and over again, and nurses and doctors are dismissing what they're saying, whether it be pain, their feelings, their anxiety. No one seems to be listening to them. They want to be listened to, and sometimes for some populations, they have nobody to talk to. So just this past week, I had nursing students, and we went to the hospital, and I took them to a hospital, and the patient tried to commit suicide. And so, without going into too much detail, because I can't go into a lot of detail, the issue was that they had a lot of history going on within their life. And just know that student spent 45 minutes talking to that person about life in general. And she said that he seemed so relieved that someone sat there and talked to him, or listened, not even talked. She didn't say much, she said. She said, "I didn't say much. I nodded, I listened, and I made eye contact," and that's what she said she did. And she said he seemed like, and he even acknowledged that, "Thank you so much for listening to me," and things like that. As humans, we have to have, human interaction. We have to have human touch and someone to actually care and show feelings towards us. And so we have to do that to people that we don't even know in nursing. So we don't even know you. Sometimes a hug goes a long way. Sometimes a handshake goes a long way. Sometimes sitting at the bottom of their bed, just talking to them face to face, instead of hovering over them like we normally do when we're doing assessments or passing meds. That's what people need. So you just need to sit down and listen sometimes. Number 7, set firm boundaries. I have no problem personally doing this. When we have difficult patients at the hospital, they will always say, the nurses will say, "Well, we got a difficult patient, give that one to Marita because she don't play." And I don't. I'm very much that tough love kind of nurse. Not to say that I am mean to my patients, because I'm not, but I tell you exactly how it's going to be. And we don't really steer from that. Meaning that they may have, let me give you an example first. Let me think of an example. So when I did work night shift, here's a good example. So we will have nurses, and this is really illegal, but this is what they do, who will scan a medication like you're supposed to, and the patient will say something like, "Go ahead and set it on my bedside table. I'll get it in just a minute. Right now I'm feeding my baby." And they will leave it there just to come back in 2 hours later and realize it's still sitting there. But they've documented that it's already been given or taken. That's illegal. You can't do that. So when I come in behind that nurse and work, and they're like, do the same thing. I'm like, no, ma'am, I can't. I need you to take this medication right now because I'm documenting that you're taking it right now, and I need to watch you take it right now. So therefore, it reflects in the computer that you are taking it. And when it's time for you to have your next medication, you can be on schedule with that. And so therefore, if there's a policy in place or a rule in place, this is what we're going to do. If I say I need to come and do an assessment, unless there's something emergent going on, I'm coming to do my assessment at this time. When I come into the hospital in the mornings and the patient is asleep, guess what I do? Wake them up. I have to manage their care. So I have to kind of govern myself accordingly. And I set firm boundaries. I'm going to do exactly what we need to do to care for you and make sure that things are okay. A lot of times people need structure. And the ones that people had difficulties with, I typically don't. Typically. There's been a couple of exceptions, but typically I have no problems with my difficult patients. They don't like to be bothered, and I tell them I will only bother you when it's necessary. So they know when I come in, like I said earlier, I come in with intent to do something that I have to get done, not just to be opening a door. All right, number 8, don't take everything personal. And that's a hard one. Sometimes we take things personal because we feel like it's an attack on us. And sometimes it is an attack on you. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a reflection of what they are going through. So try not to take things personal, and try not to take it home. That's the big thing. Don't take it personal and don't take it home. Easier said than done. Sometimes you feel like you're having a bad day and people are like, why people are beating up on me, or not physically, but mentally or emotionally beating up on you. And it's just, is it me? Is it them? Is it us? What is it? Type of thing. So again, don't take it personal. And then the last one, number 9, is stay calm and avoid arguments. Now, staying calm, so they've blown up. They are now in full rage and they're, yelling and carrying on. This is easier said than done. I don't argue with patients. I just don't. There's not a point to it. This is what we're going to do, and it's just that simple. If they want another nurse, then they can have another nurse. But I don't argue with patients. Staying calm, you have to put on your poker face. I do sometimes feel that if you have the need, or you feel like you're going to escalate, then it's probably time for you to step out the patient's room and kind of collect your thoughts and get it together and simply say, hey, I'll be right back. They may know by your tone that you're a little bit bothered, but try for the most part to stay calm and avoid arguments. For some people, they are attention seeking, and that's what they want. They want to get you going. That's how some people are. So try to not give in to that and simply say, okay, you know what? This is what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and step out for just a minute, and I'll be right back to finish your assessment or finish this med pass or hang this medicine, whatever you had to do. So these are the top 9 tips or rules for dealing with difficult patients. So tell me what tips you have. I won't say the top, but these are like 9 that I've used and has helped me. So tell me what you use to help deal with difficult patients. Do you just do a reassignment? Do you de-escalate the situation? And if so, how do you go about doing that? Because that can be very difficult. So leave me a comment below and let me know some tips I could use to help in those situations with difficult patients. So if you are new to my channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you will know the next time that I upload. If you are here again and again, I truly appreciate you for your continued support. Please go ahead and watch some of the other videos. If you are, again, new to the channel, know that this is primarily a nursing channel. However, I happen to like fashion and beauty and fitness and things like that. So definitely watch some of those videos as well if that piques your interest. But until the next time, you all take care. Bye-bye.